Hello, everybody. So this is another unannounced live. I'm just jumping on because I just read an article not too long ago from Nicole Fuller, who is a reporter from Newsday. And she reports. So what happens is, if you don't know, James Burke, the former Suffolk County Police Department's chief of the department, had a court case today. And his court case had to do with an incident that he had out in a place called Bald Hill. So he was alleged to have been involved in some extracurricular activities. Let's just call it out. Let's just call that what it is. So extracurricular activities in a park where he asked somebody for some favors of sort. Anyway, to make a long story short, he was arrested for that. Now that case has been going on for like a year and a half, 2 years, which is it's crazy because it's a B misdemeanor. But what I found really interesting, I was waiting for the article to come out because, uh, there's no courtrooms. Excuse me, there's no cameras allowed in the courtrooms. Hey guys, thanks for jumping in. This was just an unscheduled live because I was just saying if you missed the beginning, Nicole Fuller, who writes for Newsday, I've done a couple of shows, a couple of articles with, she put out the article today. She was at the courthouse with James Burke. So I was just telling everybody the background on James Burke, the former Suffolk County Police chief of department who got himself in trouble in 2012, who was arrested by the feds. Anyway, his lawyer, this guy O'Rourke, made some statements today that Newsday discussed, and it was kind of interesting because if you've been following what Josh and I have been talking about, where the defense, Michael Brown and his team, is trying to create that reasonable doubt part, and what could he do, and is if will he call James Burke to the stand? Now, according to O'Rourke, who is Burke's attorney, said that he doesn't think so. And then he said, however, Michael Brown is very crafty. That's the words that he was quoted in the paper today, that he's very crafty. And that basically, who knows? O'Rourke has floated the idea that former disgraced chief of department James Burke could actually help District Attorney Ray Tierney in his case against Rex Heuermann. It's right there in black and white. When I first read that, I was like, I couldn't believe it. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of things in this article that Josh and I will also discuss on Sunday, but I just wanted to discuss this with you guys quickly. O'Rourke believes that Burke, because he is a quote unquote law enforcement officer at heart, that he would be helpful. Now, the idea behind allegations of James Burke, which he mentions about him being involved in this case, and that he, kept the FBI out. He actually makes some interesting thing. Now, I'm talking about the defense attorney because James Burke is not going to talk to the press or anything like that. But what was interesting is that in the article, it states that Michael Brown has sought evidence of a proffer between James Burke and investigators. It doesn't specify which investigators. It could be, who knows, part of the task force. It could be the FBI, could be the state police, it could be Suffolk County Police, Nassau County, who knows? But in case you don't know what a proffer is, proffer is basically what we refer to as a queen for the day, where you come in and you tell us all your sins and you're absolved. You can't be charged with any of them as long as you give them some information that could help them with their investigation. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Jenny, thank you very much for that super. Thanks for jumping on and give us this news. Stay warm and safe. Yeah, this weekend there might be. Well, we have a show on Sunday, and I might do another live if we're shuttered in and can't get out with the snow. But Jenny, thank you very much. So this interests me a lot about this potential proffer. Now, proffers are done between the district attorney and the lawyer's client. So, which means that whoever, O'Rourke might not have been his lawyer at the time, going back way back when. So there might have been another lawyer there present that would then sit through this proffer. But to me, that is like, that is a huge red flag about something was going on back in the investigation. Here's something else that's interesting that it's in the article that the no cooperation. It says here, quote, that the it says here, more importantly, the fact that the big thing that seems to rely upon in this conspiracy is that Burke himself ordered the FBI out of Suffolk and not to be involved, said O'Rourke. That's not true. He goes on. The no cooperation is based on the assistant district attorney in homicide who didn't want them there. So that was quoted by Nicole Fuller in the Newsday article. Now let's break that down for a second, because for years we've been told that James Burke has kept the FBI out of Suffolk, which led to all kinds of conspiracy theories. Now, if you've been watching Josh and I for over the last couple of years, we've done so many shows on this, and we both agreed that Burke is a lot of things, but he's not a killer. Did he get himself involved in some other things with these women and stuff like that? Probably, right? I mean, this guy's got some serious reputation, and him getting arrested in the park doing what he was doing didn't help his case. But it's kind of interesting that the defense attorney is bringing this up now, that this had nothing to do with Burke. It has to do with some district attorney who didn't want the FBI involved. Now, it says an assistant district attorney. It doesn't say district attorney, excuse me, because that's important, because the district attorney at the time was, remember, Tom Spoda, who also got arrested for covering up for Burke. So there's another mystery player in here, some assistant district attorney who allegedly said that they didn't want the FBI in there. But he doesn't give a specific reason, but he says, but more importantly, the reason for that, this is what he says, why they did leave was not to hide anything, not to prevent the investigation. Rather, it was because some of these officers were abusing overtime substantially. So there is his excuse that the FBI wasn't allowed in from Suffolk County by, not by Burke, but by this district attorney who was covering up for Suffolk County cops for working overtime. Wow, this is a lot of stuff here. I mean, could this be out of the realm of possibility? Not knowing what we already know, right? I mean, we had Tom Spoda cover up this assault by James Burke against this, I forgot his name. I forgot the kid's name. Chris, it was Chris something. Anyway, he had beaten him and then lied to investigators about it. The cops that were with him then lied to the investigators about it, and that's what got his federal charges against him. And we're here, I think this is the first time I've ever heard it, and I'm sure many of you have not heard it too. That's why I jumped on this live tonight, because it was like, I was sitting there going, just struggling with this. So the cover-up, quote unquote, was for cops working or abusing overtime substantially, and not because Burke wanted them out. Do we believe this? I don't know. Do we have reason not to believe it? Yeah. But here we're dealing with this lowly B misdemeanor that has been dragging on, in my opinion, way too long. Honestly, this case should have been done with almost immediately. But what's also interesting that Nicole puts out in this article. Now, this is a paywalled article. I'm going to try to get you a copy. But here's the other interesting part. O'Rourke is saying that the Rangers who arrested Burke were all fired for misconduct. You remember those pictures of Burke that were in the in his cell waiting? There were pictures that were let out. There was the arrest report was leaked out. Well, apparently they found out who did it. And according to O'Rourke, these guys were fired, which should help his case, by the way. It says they took photographs of Mr. Burke inside the police facility where he was arraigned. And that's first of all, that's a no-no for law enforcement. Taking photographs of people and leaking them out, leaking reports out is a, thank you very much, Dev, for that super sticker. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's kind of weird how all this stuff now is coming out as he's fighting this, but O'Rourke is offering James Burke's help to the district attorney to help him with his investigation. Uh, was it met with a chuckle from the district attorney? I don't know. Would he be seriously in recognizing this as a goodwill attempt and try to get himself out of this other jam? This guy went to federal prison for 5 years. I don't think he's worried about this B misdemeanor, to tell you the truth. I mean, that's just my opinion, of course. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you really think that he's worried about this minor case? I mean, he spent 5 years, almost 5 years, I think, in federal prison. It might have even been 46 months. So I don't think he's fretting. He's fretting that at all. But it's just interesting to see how he can help. If you're looking for this article, the title of the article is "Gilgo Beach Killings: Disgraced Former Suffolk County Chief James Burke is willing to help the case against accused serial killer Rex A. Heuermann." Attorney says that would be interesting. But like I said, in one breath he says he's willing to help the DA, in the next breath he says he doesn't know if he'll be called as a potential witness, and then kind of led us into believe that it would be a good idea for James Burke to bring him in as a witness, and that is something that Josh and I had just said last week about bringing somebody in and disrupting the apple cart. Because I could tell you something right now, as you all know, beyond a reasonable doubt, all you need is that one person to say no, and or it's stick and take a stick to the whole entire case. Uh, just remember, folks, part two with Josh will be on Sinister this weekend at 2 p.m. It should be nice and snowy out, so make sure you make yourself hot coffee or tea or hot chocolate and be able to go in there. But this is absolutely wild about this James Burke stuff. I never thought in a million years I'd hear that he wants to help out the prosecution and that he's just basically a good guy. He's just a former cop who really cares. Um, I don't know if I'm buying that, but maybe you guys do. Let me leave some comments. And let me know if you're buying this, and we'll have to take a harder look at this. All right, folks. I just wanted to keep you abreast about what is happening. So tune in 2 p.m. this Sunday, and Josh and I will also be discussing this, and hopefully we get some more information about this. So you guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. We will talk to you very shortly. And thanks for hanging out on basically no notice. All right, folks, you guys take care. I'm going to see if I can shut this off now without knocking over the whole thing. All right. Good night, guys.